One of the biggest fears in public speaking is this: what if I forget my presentation? Should you memorize the entire thing? Should you memorize parts of it? Or should you go and wing it? Stay tuned to find out. I'm Victoria Lioznyansky, and I help introverted entrepreneurs overcome their fear of public speaking and transform into confident, compelling, and captivating speakers. The way I see it, there are only 4 ways you can go about your presentation. Way number 1, you can write out your whole speech word for word and then read it. Is it a good way? No, absolutely not. Because when you are reading from paper, even though you clearly are not going to make a mistake or forget anything, you are not making any connection to your audience. Reading your speech will never allow you to truly make an impact on your audience, because the way you make impact on your audience is when you engage your audience, and the only way you can engage your audience if you are talking to your audience, right? If you're not looking at your audience, if you're not making eye contact and you're reading the whole time, you will never ever connect with your audience in a truly authentic way. Way number 2, wing it. This is not something that we introverts ever do. No introvert in their right mind would ever try to go on stage unprepared. One of our strengths as an introvert is that we do think things through, right? We do like to prepare. Winging it is not the way we usually go about it. But if you do decide to wing it completely unprepared, you are risking ruining the relationship with your audience. Because when you're winging it and you're not prepared, you may not have thought things through. You don't think about the flow, the logical progression of your presentation. You don't think of what to say, how to say it, to make the biggest impact on your audience. And very often those unprepared presentations fall completely and totally flat. But you can tell me, well, I've seen a speaker who wasn't prepared, who was asked to give an impromptu speech, and he just got up and walked on stage and was wonderful. Well, let me tell you, even though that did not look like it was prepared and rehearsed, that speaker probably spent years thinking through things that he was saying on stage. He probably spent years gathering the knowledge. He probably spent years figuring out how to put it in best words, how to give the best stories that would go with that concept, how to engage the audience in the best way. So even though it looks like it hasn't been prepared and rehearsed, believe me, it has been. Way number 3, memorize your entire presentation word for word. There are definitely speakers who memorize their presentations. Examples that comes to mind is Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and Big Magic. Elizabeth Gilbert is an amazing writer. We probably will all agree. And she was invited by Oprah to come and give a speech at one of her mega events. And I believe it was even a series of events, not just one presentation. And so Elizabeth Gilbert, of course, took it seriously. You know, when Oprah calls you and invites you, you do take it seriously. She had 6 months to prepare. She spent the first 2 months writing out her speech. She made it absolutely perfect. And then she spent the other 4 months memorizing it. This will probably work for you only if you have a lot of time to prepare, and also if you're really great at memorization. If you can memorize things and you have tons of time, maybe that's the way you want to go. I personally would not recommend it, only because, particularly if you don't have a lot of time to prepare and you think you memorized your speech but you kind of didn't, and you go on stage and you forget something, all of a sudden your whole flow breaks and you just cannot continue because you forgot what goes next. because you remember your speech word for word. It's kind of like if you have a house that's being built and you pull out one brick, all of a sudden that whole wall collapses, right? It's the same concept. So be very mindful of that. While it does work for some, and again, Elizabeth Gilbert is a good example, it may not work for you. So think it through before you decide to go that route. Another problem with memorizing your speech is that it may sound really robotic. Because for some people, it's very hard to sound like they're talking to their audience when in reality they're just reciting what they memorized. So you have to be very mindful of that. And if you do decide to go with the whole memorization route, you have to remember to make it sound like you are talking to your audience. You have to make it sound like you're really coming up with stories right there, that you are coming up with examples, that you are making jokes on the spot. It has to look spontaneous. It has to look effortless. And way number 4, and this is a way that I recommend. You memorize only 3 things in your presentation. You memorize your opening, you memorize your closing, and you memorize the outline. The 3 things make sense because when you just come on stage, you're the most nervous, right? So memorizing your opening makes tons of sense. And it's not very long, so most of us can definitely memorize it. This is where you're nervous, this is where you kind of want to be on autopilot a lot of times, particularly if you're not very experienced. And as you go through your memorized opening, all of a sudden you get confidence, and then you can continue, right? Memorizing the closing is also a good idea because this is what you leave your audience with. This is also where you can do your call to action, and you want it to flow really well, and then you want to leave your audience with the most impact that you can produce. So memorizing your ending is a good idea. And then what you also want to memorize is the skeleton of your presentation, so to speak, the actual flow, the bullet points, if you want to call it that. You want to memorize the order of things and how you're going to progress through your presentation. You want to memorize what you're talking about first, next, next, next. And once you memorize your flow, your opening, your closing, you are setting yourself up for success. You are going to be feeling confident on stage. You're going to engage your audience because you are not reading, you are looking at them. And you will most likely captivate them with your talk because you did think this through. I hope you enjoyed this little comparison of 4 ways to prepare for your presentation, and let me know in the comments which way you prefer. And if you would like to learn more about overcoming your fear of public speaking and transform into confident, compelling, and captivating speaker, then I have an absolutely free training for you that you can download at www.byvictorial.com/training. I'll see you soon. Take care and have a wonderful day.